because that's what art is all about.
So it makes us human.
Yeah, unfortunately, what like my generation considers art is the corporate drones of the Britney Spears and everything, and turning it into a product and a dollar sign rather than the spirit and emotion. The backbone of a counterculture, I believe, is the art.
Well, I believe that also the arts is just like the purest form of human expression. And that the arts is the real way to.
Well, it brings people together.
It brings people together, and it's able to articulate things that like we don't necessarily have a vernacular for. That can be said in like like music. You can start playing something, and cross-culturally, everybody starts feeling a beat. Do you know what I mean? And everybody can recognize it, even if there are no lyrics to it.
And how do you think it can affect the political system?
But I mean, like, you can use political art. Art is also like something that can be very attractive and sorry, I just saw somebody that I knew. Art can be something that's very attractive and it can draw people in, and it can kind of like maybe put it down on a level that like someone who isn't as politically involved can understand. At my school, which is renowned for being an art school, is being, where do I even begin? The state is cutting funding for it, so they, so now we have to have corporate buyouts. Like we have a Starbucks, we buy through Chartwells, we have to find this like exterior funding, and we have to begin privatizing like specific areas of our school, which is supposed to be a public state school.
Oh, what is it? Does anybody know what I'm talking about? Hold on. Good. There's some kind of a listserv out there now called September 17th Google Groups. September 17th on Google Groups. Now, everything you just said and the written materials that you have, we need to be able to transmit all of that to everybody that knows about this.
And fire departments and schools and all manner of social services are operating on smaller and smaller budgets, and American soldiers are dying over in the Middle East, and the media has you all distracted. They're placating you with insignificant debates about politics and tax policies and all these things that don't really serve the life ground. And they're distracting you from important things like the fact that big corporations are funding both sides of every major election, not just contributing to the political campaigns. That's different. But if you give a political contribution to both the Republican and the Democratic candidate, then that's just a bribe. You know, if you have a corporation, why would you give money away to two people that are competing against each other unless you want to get your way, regardless of which one wins? Citigroup and JP Morgan and Goldman Sachs and UBS both contributed to Barack Obama and John McCain, who ran against him, and they contributed to George W. Bush and John Kerry, who ran against him. The same four companies.
And they're all related.
That's why
it's like professional wrestling.
That's why nothing was done about the mortgage crisis in 2008 that's still affecting us now, because those people are getting their way because they're funding both sides. In the late 80s, we had a thing called the savings and loan crisis, and thousands of CEOs and executives were prosecuted and went to jail over it. But in 2008, nothing, not even when they used bailout money to pay for their bonuses, and when they got $1 million severance packages for running their companies into the ground and betting against their own mortgages. Our president said that he would get our troops out of Iraq. He said he'd raise taxes on the wealthy. He hasn't done either of those things. And it won't matter if you vote him out of office in 2012, because whoever runs against him will serve the same financial powers that he serves. These wars in the Middle East are about oil. Most of us know this. Alternative energy. If we, all the energy that we use to produce everything, including the food, is not being done on any meaningful scale. You can't charge someone for the wind or the sunshine if you have those things on everybody's roof, solar panels and wind turbines, and it's too efficient for our market system. And if renewable energy can save money, obviously, but too many people saving too much money isn't good for the economic system. Every time one person saves money, another person loses revenue. And when revenues are lost, then they have to lay people off, and GDP goes down, and gross domestic product goes down.
De-arresting, civil disobedience, around issues of legal stuff, just a lot of different things so that people would want to get those skills and get a...
Well, we're a bunch of people that were working in the we were in the Spanish Revolution in Madrid, and we came here to New York to film what's going on. We're doing this documentary, and we think it's a great idea what's happening here. And
what's happening in Madrid right now? What's the result of all the protests?
Well, right now what we achieved is a great movement of people that are together and they're deciding different actions against different actions that the government takes. So for once, we have all of this movement that gets together, and people can talk together, and through the internet and through all of these networks, the internet networks. We're still meeting in the square every week. There's a general assembly every week, but the camp, we were camping there for one whole month in the main square of Madrid, Barcelona, Valencia, different cities, and now the movement is back home. I mean, people are getting together on the streets again, but not every day like we did in May. From May to June, it was the biggest thing we did. Yep.
So, would you say your main agenda is political or legal? Do you want to see specific laws passed about particular things, or do you want to see people out of power and other people into power?
It's not a problem of who's in power, but it's a problem of trying not to get all of these banks and all of these corporations
taking all the
dominating
money.
Our lives. Right. Yeah, basically, we're trying. We actually want to work with the government side by side. I mean, we're telling them as well, look, there's this law which we don't agree with, and there's these other laws which we are proposing. Because, for example, one thing, there's no transparency on the money that goes from the state to for these political parties. Yeah, every year the state gives money to the political parties. Well, there's nowhere written what that money is being spent on. So that's basically one thing we want to change. There's other things we want to change. So we're making proposals. We're making proposals in assemblies. So it's the people voting for once. Yeah.
Does your group have a name?
No, well, it's the Audiovisual Commission from Sol, from Puerta del Sol, which is the main square of Madrid.
So tell me why you're here and what you think all these people can do.
Well, we're here to send a message to not only our government but also the corporations. A message that we're tired. We're tired of having a government that serves the corporations, the corporation only. We want a government that responds to people and the people first. So that's what we want. We want to put people first instead of a government that answers to the corporations only.
And what do you think is the best way to do that?
Well, I think there are several ways. Massive demonstrations. Like this one. This could be the beginning of it. Getting involved politically. Talking to our neighbors. Just talking to people. Just being aware that the system as it is corrupted, is bankrupt, and it only works for the corporations and not people. No, I grew up in the Bronx. I live all over the world.
And what do you do for a living?
I'm a student. I'm a PhD student at the University of New York.
You're what?
I'm a PhD student at the State University of New York.
What subject?
This is Latin American Studies.
I got it. You guys hungry? You want some sandwiches?
We are overhauled monkeys with big brains that think too much. We're destroying the world that we live on. Is that smart? I don't think so. Let's all try to compost our shit into the ground so we can live on it for generations. and the earth must grow, and the earth must grow.